much more dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite. Purport. The great sage Maitreya wanted to describe the pious activities of the kings. Priyavrata was the first son of Swambhuva Manu, and Uttanapada was the second. But the great sage Maitreya immediately began to speak of Dhruva Maharaj, the son of Uttanapada, because Maitreya was very eager to describe pious activities. The incidents in the life of Dhruva Maharaj are very attractive for devotees. From his pious action, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. By hearing the activities of pious Dhruva, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus one can very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. The example of Dhruva Maharaj's austerity can immediately generate a feeling of devotional service in the hearts of the hearers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपिशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चाति देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि शिवौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते कदम कानन स्वामिनिति नामिने. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So from last 4 or 5 days we had started this new chapter where Maitreya Muni is unfolding another beautiful story of a Lord's pure devotee. His name is Dhruva, because he's so eager to tell that whoever hears, if you see in the purport Srila Prabhupada light, whoever hears the pastimes of a pure Vaishnava, it purifies the hearts. It's immediately, and it goes into the deep root of the heart where all the anarthas are there. It does the operation. Okay, and we know how Maitreya Muni has started that Swambhuva Manu. He is the first Manu of the creation. He had two sons, Priyavrata Maharaj and Uttanapat Maharaj, and Priyavrata is the eldest son. But for some good fortune and association of the Narada Muni, he didn't get into the householder life. He became a Nashtika Brahmachari for some certain period of time. Then we will see in the future when Uttanapat and everybody goes away, all the pastimes happen with our Dhruva Maharaj. Then there will be no king in the future to rule the kingdom. So on the request of Brahmaji, Narad Muni, and many others, they request Priyavrata Maharaj to come down from his brahmacharya ashram and become a householder. And then he gets many more blessings also. But here, if you see now, the Maitreya Muni is so eager to narrate the story of Dhruva Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada is saying because Maitreya Muni wanted to describe the pious activities of the king. Pious activity here has been said of, two types. One is called material pious activity, and the other is called spiritual pious activity. But in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Madhya Lila, chapter number 22, which is called the pure devotional service, it's been mentioned here by Srila Prabhupada, and is quoting Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he's saying this pious activity are of three types. Okay, and what are those pious activity? He says first is bhaktya unmukta sukriti. Sukriti, we all know, it means that doing some service which gives us a spiritual benefit, like unknowingly. Many times we say it's called agyata sukriti. Agyata means unknown. Okay, sometime when we go out and try to help some poor people, giving some donations, some clothing, some food, some water. That's we do, here. So it's called like material benefit, and we get material opulences by doing that. If you give somebody a donation, to the normal person who's like a ordinary person, in the future, maybe in this lifetime or next lifetime, we get the money double back. But if you do somebody to a Brahmana, it comes 100 times back. But if you give to somebody who is Narayana Parayana, means who is a great devotee of the Lord, and the benefit of giving charity to the person is unlimited. We cannot even imagine. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says the pious activity has been described into the three categories. He says the pious activities that awakens our dormant of Krishna consciousness is called bhaktya unmukhi sukriti. Okay, which when we do any kind of, like when we are outside, okay, and for when we go to New York, we do harinam there every day almost for 6 7 8 hours, and there are many people passing through, and when they see us, just out of some unknown pious credit of their previous life, they give us some donation, okay, like $1, $2, 10 cent, 50 cent, $20, whatever they want. Or sometimes they just buy some fruits, sometimes they just buy some water for us and they give it to us. That it's called devotional service they have done unknowingly, and either in this life or in the future lifetime they will become definitely a Vaishnava because they have served the Vaishnava. Lord has said in Srimad Bhagavatam in canto 11 that a person who serves my devotee, he actually my devotee, and I blesses him more than anything else. Okay, and the second stage is comes a bhogana mukha sukriti, which I said, like pious activity that bestows material opulences. You're just buying somebody a jacket, somebody water, just like a normal thing. So in this way, you can become a great rich man in your next lifetime. And the other one is called mokshan mukha sukriti. Mokshan mukha sukriti means pious activity that enables the living entity to merge into the existence of the Supreme Lord, because the person wants to become one with the Lord. So it's called mokshana mukha mukriti, mokshan mukhi sukriti. I mean, we can see there are three types of here, but here what matrimony wants to describe here, just is called, it's called the pious activity of a king, and he's not an ordinary king. He is going to be a pure Vaishnava in his future. If you see the intensity of his bhakti, he got Lord Narayan down just within 6 months. I mean, look at the power of his determination. Because when we read this whole pastime, and we are going to be read, or to hear from other speakers in the future, we will find out one common thing, that how determined he was to get his goal. If you see in the case of Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, and many other there, even the materialistic people, they are so determined. They are so determined in their goal to achieve it. So why not we should do as a Vaishnava? And many of Vaishnava, those who have understand the importance of being as a human being, they really become so determined, so fixed in their practice, they don't even look here and there. If you see, now here is saying Uttanapad has got two wives, Suniti and Surichi. Suniti, she was the mother of devotee called Dhruva. I mean, she was such a pious lady that through her womb, a great Vaishnava has taken a birth. But Suriji, she was so beautiful that Maharaj Uttanavada was so attached to her, so much attached to her that he neglected his own son. In the future we will see that, you know, and whatever she says, Maharaj Uttanavada just accept it because he was so sexually attached to her. And he didn't bother to take care of his first wife, which is Suniti, and his son also, you know, here. But that's why Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, he's saying ki attachment is the greatest, one of the greatest impediment on the path of spiritual life. But attachment is a software that is inbuilt with our human nature. We cannot take it out. Here he says in the purport, he says ki from his pious action, means from the pious action of Maharaj Dhruva, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possession. This is the one point. And second point, how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerity and penances. So here the point is that Maharaj Uttanavada was so attached that he could not figure it out what's going to be the consequences in his life. He didn't know that Maharaj Dhruva, he's just barely a 4 or 5 years old child. He will leave the temple, or sorry, he will leave the palace. But he did so because he was so determined to get his goal. Okay, but here attachment, as I was saying, that attachment is it one of the impediment, but it is also an inbuilt software. Then we can take it out. That's why Lord Krishna, he spoke Bhagavad Gita, and he says, yes, you cannot, be aware, or you cannot be aloof from attachment. What you can do, you can divert, you can shift your attachment from material to spiritual. If you see in the case of Arjuna, what did Arjuna do? He was so attached to his family member. Even though these family members, they were doing wrong to him, they took off all his property, they disfame him, they were trying to disrobe his wife and many others. They were trying to give them poison. They were doing many things, but he was so attached that he gave up his occupational duty, which was his one of his swadharma. For that attachment, Lord Krishna started speaking Bhagavad Gita. And he said to him, he says, Arjuna, natve ham jatu nasham, natva nevi janatipa, nacheva bhavishya sarve vya ataha param, which is 2.12. He was saying, Arjuna, there was never a time that I did not exist, you did not exist, not of these kings, and in the present we all are existing, and in the future we all will be existing too. So there is no point that you should not be detached from your duty, occupational duty. You must do it. Even the Chanakya, he also says, he says there is no misery like attachment. Okay, and there is no happiness like detachment, because when you shift from your attachment from material to spiritual, that material attachment, it becomes detachment. We are being detached to so many things. If we carefully analyze, these things doesn't make any sense to us, even in our life also. If we see carefully analyze, if we go deeper, what I'm really attached to these things. Am I attached to my family member? Could be husband, could be wife, could be children, could be so many things. So this attachment brings so many, unhappiness. It becomes so many problems in our life, because we become too much. So our expectation becomes much more higher than what we supposed to do. That's why this spiritual life takes over all these problems. you know Detachment is often mistaken to be mean we don't care. Sometimes some spiritual practitioner, when they start practicing some spiritual life, and they come into the conclusion, okay, Prabhu, from now onwards I'm going to be detached, which is artificially. you know the detachment comes only with the higher knowledge, which Lord Krishna gave to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. He gave him the supreme knowledge. you know and then, and some people think we don't care. we don't feel any compassion or we are lazy. No, detachment is not, that's what it means. The true detachment means we are not disturbed by external events or material thoughts or events. Even though we are staying with our family member, we are staying in our working conditions, and we are staying in this world, even though whatever situation happens, because in this material world everything is temporarily. The relationships are completely temporarily, jobs are completely temporarily, our life is completely temporarily, our houses, our wealth, our name, our fame, our position, anything you name it in this material world, they all are temporarily. Okay, they are just flickering. Today we have it, we become the owner, and the next moment we don't have it. Okay, for that thing we have to be externally not should be disturbed. They come and go according to our previous deed. These things, they come and go. Okay, by understanding all these external affairs, that this is the nature of this material world, and that's how we become detached. But we must attach to the supreme lord. That's why it said the reason we are not disturbed, if you see the great sages, why they are not disturbed, because of their deep connection and attachment to the supreme personality of godhead. Because they know, they do understand even our own body. If we see, we are changing, or we are shifting ourselves in this body every single second. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 5.2, such a liberated person, because the person who understands this spiritual knowledge is not attached to the material sense pleasure. But what he do, but is always in trance, because he's always in the connection with the Lord. He understands, yes, my permanent connection is only with the supreme personality of Godhead. That's why he enjoys the pleasure within. In this way, self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness without any external disturbs. Of course, many of us have gone through with so many problems in our life, like relationship problems, one gone, second gone, third gone, fourth gone, and the jobs are also changing, and we are changing our houses also, our location. Because why we feel morose, why we feel unsatisfied, and why we feel unhappiness, because our attachment to the location, our attachment to the person, our attachment to the wealth, it comes and go. It really comes and go. So that's why we need to be very, very careful not to be attached. Even the great sages, those who have a very, very important knowledge, or those who are practicing for so many years, they also sometimes get bewildered. Of course, sometimes those who are Vaishnavas, when they see anything spiritually is not happening in their life, they become morose. But that's just because of their spiritual transcendental nature. That's why they do it, because they understand that attachment to the temporarily is the root of all suffering. So that's why they do not be attached. Of course, if any Vaishnava goes away from our life, or he's going to pass out from the body, we feel kind of a moroseness, but it's not a material thing. It is like spiritual, because we are not going to have his association anymore. So that is called spiritual suffering. But in other sense, we are happy now he's get out of this material body, now he's going to go back to godhead. So that's why it says that various philosophers prescribe different way to stop all the attachment, but because it is a part of our original love of Krishna, it can never be stopped. So the solution to the problem of this attachment, the misery it brings, is to love Krishna. That will fulfill all desires, and will be happy by living in this material world also. And in the second point, it's been talking about here. If you see the purport, Prabhupada is saying, and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerity and penances. You know, the way Dhruva Maharaj has performed his austerity, we will going to be here, or we have already read this. It's really tremendous. It's really marvelous. I mean, nobody can imagine how can a devotee, just merely a boy of 5 years, Through his intense bhakti, he brought Lord Narayan down just within 6 months. You know, he hold the air of the whole universe, and through his feet and with the thumb of his feet, he pressed the earth down. I mean, who can do this? You can see how the spirit soul is so powerful. But in NOD, Srila Rupa Goswami, he says, even the austerity and penances, they are not even the limbs of the 64 devotional service. They are not in the limbs, So if it's not the part of the bhakti, then why should we do it? But it's been said that one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. So why it has been said like that? So our Acharya, they give an example like there is a barren land, okay, and this land is not been cultivated for many years, maybe you can say billions of lifetime or many more years, and if a farmer goes there and is trying to cultivate or grow some crops over there, so do you think he will be able to do that? Okay, because due to the nature of being untouched by a farmer, this land has been become so hard, so hard. So what does a person does? So the actual thing is they either use the tractor with the cultivator or plow to loosen the soil, because when they lose the soil, the flowing air, water, nutritions to penetrate deeper into the root zone. So what has happened, if you see, I have seen it in my, in my town there, because if the land has been not been touched for 4, 5, 6 years and it doesn't give anything, it doesn't sprout any seed. So what they do, they 4, 5, 6 times they cultivate the land. They uses the plow, and the plow is being used by Lord Balaram, if you can see it. So what they do, they dig the earth in so many times, 4, 5, 6 times. So what it does, it makes the land loose, it makes the earth loose, and when that it's been loose, and when the farmer throw the seeds inside, then you can say the plants or the tree, it comes very beautifully, and that's where we can have the nice, quality of the wheat, rice, or any other vegetables. So that's why it's very, very important, because our heart is like a land. It's not been used in the service of our Lord Sri Krishna. That's why it has become so hard over there. There's no cultivation has happened. That's why this austerity is, austerity means no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, getting up early in the morning, finishing up on rounds, and eating only prasadam, associating only with the Vaishnava. These type of things are austerity. It looks easy to hear, but when we going to perform on our daily life, it becomes burden on ourselves. We think, oh no, last night I finished my round at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, then I went to sleep, then 4:30 I have to get up again, then I have to chant my round. It becomes a burden. But no, it is an austerity. I used to eat outside anywhere in the restaurant. I didn't bother to cook at home to offer to the Lord, and my life was so easy. But now I have to think everything. Do I have to offer this to the Lord? Does the Lord approve? Does the Shastra approve this type of ingredients or item to eat? No, I'm gonna only eat which is meant to offer to the Lord, and it becomes as a prasadam. I mean, this type of austerity is very, very nice. Am I only going to hear about the Lord, or do I have to hear other, newspaper, Facebook, Instagram, and many other newses are there of the world? Hearing only about the Lord itself is an austerity. But when we do over the period of time that we are cultivating our heart, our barren heart, it has been there for millions and millions of years. It's not been used in the service of the Lord. And but the over the period means we are making a foundation. Austerity, for instance, means we are making a foundation where we can establish the palace of our devotional service higher and higher and higher and higher. That's where we are going to attain the love of Godhead. That's why it is very, very important to hear all these pastimes. Because if you see the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's not all about Krishna. The most of the pastimes, if you see, it's all about his devotees. Canto 7, Prahlad Maharaj, Lord came, he worshipped, 1 or 2 chapter, few dialogues happened, few shloka he said, then he gone. but the whole pastime was it's all about Lord, his devotee, 5, 6, 8 temple, chapters over there. Dhruva Maharaj, Parchetas, Lord Shiva, Narad Muni, Vyasdev, Kunti Devi, Bhishma Dev, many other. If you see, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is all about his devotee, because the more we will hear, because these are the case study, the more our heart will be purified. Okay, I have 3 minutes to go. I'll stop here and see if anybody has any questions.
The class is over?
Yes, Prabhuji, I stopped here.
Okay.
I'm
Does
just thinking
if
anybody has any question or anything to share, any adds up.
Prabhuji, I like the idea of cultivation, what you explained. It was very nice. It gone through my heart. So we have to cultivate our heart so we can put the Bhakti Vruksha bees to grow.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
very informative, very nice class. Yeah, very nice idea, Prabhuji. Yeah, we are having so many examples in our Srimad Bhagavatam how to cultivate bhakti, especially like grihasthas. We are totally immersed like in this material world. So that Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching every time how to handle the situation. Anyways, we have this, we cannot discard, right? We have to go through it because we only created this Grihastha life. We cannot run away, but we have to keep Krishna in the center, like looking at all these examples from Srimad Bhagavatam and make our life more spiritually better.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. We would like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead, and we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Nrsingo, Jai Nrsingo, Jai Jai Nrsingo, Praladesha, Jaya Padmam Kapadam Ugra Vida Mahabhishtam Jalantam Sarvatomukam Nrsiнгam Bhishtanam Bhadram Nityamitim Namyam. Nrsinga Bhagwan ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Mancha Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavane Vaishnavya Namo Namaha. Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.